Unless you have been ignoring my Twitter and Twitch channels, you would know that I've been playing a lot of The Division lately. I've been playing it because this is one of those games which I've been talking about where the world design is better than the gameplay. Now this is set in New York, it's the realistic New York, so this is based off the real Google Maps layout of New York. You can see the island here, it's not exactly a tip of Manhattan, so not the north or south side or the central area with the park, it's just below that to the south of it. But it's accurate to Google Maps, and I've been playing it a lot in the stream trying to make sure that with all the street names, alleyways and landmarks. But a problem with a realistic map in a game is that it affects the gameplay. That's not my problem with Division's gameplay. My problem is that it's so slow. It's you know, I'll leave that for some other conversation. That can just be personal taste. Realistic maps in games tend to encourage the developers to be realistic and true to the game's world. So real life. So as you can see here, there's a lot of crap on the road, so something has happened to the humans. So they've built this world full of life without the people. Oh yeah, and if you play this game, you gotta close all the doors you see. That's just Division rule number 1. You know, this game is an OCD's nightmare. Everywhere you look in this game, you can see a little story. Some assets are repeated, of course, but that's in every game ever. For a realistic map, they have laid this out very well, so there are a good variety of locations. It's not like the typical game where you have a starting area, a desert area, grassy area, volcano area, and the transition between the two just being very obvious. This is a city, so it's kind of different, but you don't find entire suburbs which have been burned and quests forcing you to go inside that area and stick within it, just connecting the dots basically. This is open world, so the missions tend to be more creative than that. There are apartments and warehouse, but it gets deeper thanks to the realism. Bus terminals, water treatment plants, coffee shops, supermarkets, pharmacies, alleyways, rooftops, sewers, bus stops, the back of trucks. It gets smaller of course, but that's the way the Division is. It has a lot of detail, so you don't really find yourself repeating the same movement patterns throughout this world. Now look at this for a story, an empty cop car. Where are the cops? Why are the doors open? Were there guns in the vehicle? Is this area safe? Every little story in this game sets an atmosphere which encourages you to think about it some more. I know there's no guns in the vehicle. I know the doors just randomly pop open. I know the cops are not nearby. I know it's safe here because this is a low level area for me, but there are a few gang members nearby I can just run past. And you can see with just me running under this bridge, it's not just a straight line which is fun to drive through, which is what you would expect to see in the Grand Theft Auto game, but this game has gone for the realistic layout once again. That's risky because, well look, Ubisoft are scumbags, you know, I say it a lot, but they are killing it with their variety of games. Their advertising must have been spawned from the great depths of EA or something, but Ubisoft are constantly making new types of games, multiplayer and themes, and are obviously supporting it with their money and even placing new clever content to expand their game's life. I don't like supporting big developers, but if you had to pick which company was better for the industry, Ubisoft would win that because they are innovative. They create stories, they create worlds, almost from scratch, and they bring out a new IP almost like every year, I think. And despite their size, EA don't do that, at least on the scale of Ubisoft. So right now I'm in a Kerman Coffee, which seems to be Ubisoft's version of Starbucks. It's not in any other Ubisoft games, but it could be in future. You can't go into every building in the game, but there is usually, I would say, at least one place to go inside of in each block. The problem though is that it's always empty, so it's like an unintended safe room, or safe couple of apartments. But with the way the bots soak up bullets in this game, it would be very hard to go through these areas when it's already crowded inside there. What are they shooting at? Oh, I think they're just shooting at some body, like an actual body on the ground.
Where it came from is shit. I think I can take you.
They were... Oh, I got a free goodie from it. On Saturday nights I stream on Twitch. I stream a very special game, which I think has a lot of potential, called Project Zomboid. The developers update their game, it seems like, as much as Minecraft. Interestingly though, it's a similar engine. Anyway, it's missing a lot of things which it could learn from this game. With all these little stories in this game, it's easy to put that into an apocalypse game, just by placing an empty car. Maybe with the doors open, maybe it crashed. As long as there is something on the road, it can remind you of what the world used to be like, or the threat of the zombies, or a reminder that Zomboid is not just about running around all these pathways. It can have a larger scope than that, and it really needs to, because the place feels more like a park than a city. But an advantage of the Division is that it's based off the real location. So it has a realistic layout and things look like they make sense. And look, a car park! Yes, it's a super rare car park in a game full of cars, which I can't use. It is a bit of a tease, but once again, it reminds you about the story. This car park tells me I'm in New York, and this is where drivers would park their cars at times, and some of them have been left behind. There's even some steamrollers there, so the New York Council must have used that before they had to abandon them all. This kind of stuff makes the world more believable and increases your immersion. If you're under a heavy gunfight, you just run around city blocks, hiding between cars, maybe running through an apartment and things. But if you're running through car parks as well, you're jumping over fences, you're going underneath bridges, you're swerving in and out between all the cars. Even just that little detail of a car park can help with the immersion if it's more realistic. Division does have a good range of vehicles though. Those steamrollers can probably be found somewhere else on the map, but not in another car park the exact same way they are here. It's actually pretty clever with how they've done this. It seems like every vehicle is a module, so sometimes you would find a four-wheel drive with boxes on top of it, as if they were packing to leave. Those boxes can also be found somewhere else. Sometimes you'll find a big truck with the back of it open, and if you go inside there you can find some special boxes or machines, and elsewhere on that you can see those boxes or those machines which have been installed, or you can even find those machines on the floor outside of the truck. So it's just an excuse for more cover, more character into this game, more realism. It's like when they made this game and they were working on the trucks, the vans, those type of large vehicles, they planned it ahead of time that these vehicles need to be able to tell you something about the world, besides just being an empty vehicle on the side of a road. I can never work out if I'm throwing the right grenade or not. Now I'm going into the sewer because I want to show you something. The default of this game's brightness is set at 50%, but I usually have it lower, around 25%. I want to know from you if you think this is more realistic or not. What's your opinion of how this looks? I think it looks better in the sewers and on the surface. Big cities are actually dark places in real life because, like rainforests, you can't always see the sun, so there are shadows everywhere in this game. I find that lowering the brightness takes advantage of that to improve the look of it. Oh, there's gas up here waiting for me. Who threw that? Look on this street, by the way. Does this scream New York suburbs or what? But I want to show you something on this street, because what I want to talk about is what you see everywhere in this game. The trash, the piles of junk which are piled up on the sides of the street, almost to a comedic level I think. But I think this is clever because when there is a new virus outbreak, the government isolates an area, such as your apartment or your house or whatever, and they throw out everything which they think can be contaminated. So fabrics, plates, plastics, woods, everything. And it seems like the government got overwhelmed and was never really able to retrieve all of the trash. So they've never been able to collect all these bags and throw them away. So the city really does feel like it's a moment in time which is just frozen. So this virus got out of control very fast, but it shows that there is an infrastructure here, but a lot of services just missing, such as trash collection. That could be because those council workers were killed. They got sick themselves, or they just abandoned Manhattan and just left somewhere else. This guy's just trying to get in a car. That might be his car. Who knows? So I'm going to head a bit north now because I want to show you this street at night time, and I want to talk to you a bit about the story of this game. On a Black Friday in December, when everyone was going out to the shops to buy their Christmas presents for their family and friends, some bioterrorists put a virus on a $1 note, or a few dollar notes. And because it's bloody Black Friday, the biggest shopping day of the year, money was just handed out everywhere, and it spread like a virus. And I don't know the exact numbers of who got infected, who died, but there's mass graves in quite a few places. There's cleaners, there's fanatics with flamethrowers. Obviously, there's martial law here. The division agents have come in, so there must have been significant losses. Oh, by the way, just look at this truck. This is the Licks truck, you can see it on the side, but inside here are Licks drink containers. These containers are not always in this truck. Sometimes this truck can be found empty. Sometimes these containers can be found on the floor or standing inside a building. That's what I'm talking about. These vehicles being modular. So they've thought of that ahead of time, and it gives this truck a lot more connection to the world of this game. Everything seems to have a purpose. As in, This truck is not just here for scenery, it has a purpose, and that's to give drinks to people, because you can see these drinks in other places in the world. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, I looked it up. The population of Manhattan at the moment is 1.626 million people. That many people on an island is insane. But the numbers are really never mentioned how many people died, but it seems like over half the people died. But as you can see, all these cars are empty and the place just feels dead, and it's New York, so it makes it kind of creepy. They could have really gone and made this super creepy by adding in a lot of music, maybe some kind of zombies or mutation between a zombie and a human, so they aren't quite zombie and totally aggressive yet. But they didn't do that. They tried to keep this realistic and somewhat relatable. It needs all this, and this is just what I want to focus on with the channel. I want to focus on this level design, this type of thought which they put into the game. And not every game has this. Well, every game does have this. Not every game has it on this level, and that's why I bought this game. I bought it for the level, the world. Like, look at this. There's obviously a crash here, this taxi and this white car, and you can even see that this car kind of skid through here. Even though you can kind of see it's snowing right now, the snow could have covered up these tracks. You know, that's not a big deal because they're trying to tell you all these stories. They're trying to fill this world with action and life, and the world being frozen in time without the movement. So this is just, I guess, the pinnacle of what I'm talking about when I talk about level design, world design. These types of features they put in the game, and they put it throughout the map, not just in certain areas. You can travel through this map and you don't see the notable shift from like a dark area to a light area, or in this game a suburb full of apartments and a suburb full of warehouses and city business type buildings. They've done this very well at the cost of gameplay. I'm struggling through this at the moment because the gameplay is just not my type of thing. But I'm giving it a chance. I want to get to level 30 and see what it's like. I want to know what you think of this world though. This game design, this focus on the world design and the level and the realistic level. Building a game based off of that instead of so much the combat. I really like it. This is why I buy games, to explore through a world like this and try and explore and find these little stories and make sense of it all without listening to the actual real story of the game all the time. So let me know what you think of the game, think of the video as well, post comment and all that, because I'm really interested in what you think of this type of video. I want to get to level 30, so I'll play more of the Division, and if you want to see more Division videos, let me know.